Hi everyone, my name is Diva Lee and I am using this as a media kit to try and get a little book that I've written. I have almost finished it. It's at the editors at the moment, and I'm trying to get some interviews in with um, some YouTubers or Rumblers, I suppose we could call them all now. Everyone's been taken off YouTube, and I know that I wouldn't be able to put this book on Amazon, apart from the fact that you only get 30% of the profit of it, and Amazon keeps the rest. So I have putting together this media kit, and in the hope that I can get some interviews going and this little booklet known. And for some reason, I keep getting that it's got to go out on July 4th, which is the American USA Independent Day. So I actually would love to be able to read a chapter to you so as not to make up too much of your time. Now, a chapter's not 10 pages long or anything like that, and hopefully it will only take a few minutes if I can keep my tongue going and not trip over myself. So the reason why I'm doing this is just to introduce myself and just introduce the little booklet that I've got. It's going to be an ebook that I'm going to sell off my website, divalee.co. And some interviews would be so super special to me, because this is something that's dearly and truly close to my heart. Stopping this sex trafficking of babies from being born to dead, as I found out in these channelings. So I have channeled the spirit of those ones that have been the subject of satanic ritual abuse, and I channeled them and got their stories, and then I asked them at the end what their soul mission was. What was the true core? What was the reason for why they came and they chose to go through that hard little lifetime? And they're all so very different, and some are very surprising. But here we go. I'll read you a chapter so I don't keep you too much longer. This is chapter 9, and it's called Love Compass. And it is, hello, my name is Hetty. I'm a 15-year-old from Venezuela. And my girlfriend was with me when gang members took us. We were on our way to a concert when the gang kidnapped us. They stopped on the road before us and threw us in the van. We were punched around the head so often that we nearly lost consciousness. Then when they had us subdued enough, they raped us. We were taken to their headquarters where another 20 men were drinking and taking drugs, and then they gang raped us. It was horrible. They were like zombies attacking us and beating us in between men taking their turns. We were bleeding heavily between our legs. I had never felt such pain. We both had concussions from being hit around the head, and our eyes were blackened. After hours of torturous rapings and beatings, we were retaken into the van and tied up. We were lying on the floor when my girlfriend turned to look at me. I hardly recognized her. Her face was so severely beaten. We cried so much, but we never took our eyes off of each other. Our bond was strengthened so much that we could almost read each other's minds from this day on. Then we were put into a shipping container on board a ship, and I could hear many other boats around tooting horns on takeoff. We were there for a day or two. before our ship got underway. We also had many other kids of all ages from 5 years old upwards. I thought they were in the same condition as us, and how could people do this to little ones? We huddled with each other, trying to comfort the younger ones who would let us near them. It was several days, then the ship docked. We were then put on a plane. Many of the children died during the journey. I finally arrived at a compound that I thought was the USA because the men were primarily American, and then I found out later it was Mexico. It was boiling hot, and our huts were very rustic, holes everywhere. My friend and I were put in charge of the babies 5 and under. We had to get buckets filled with water for drinking and for washing, and everything small children could not do for themselves, we did it. Our children ranged from 12 months old to 5 years old. We looked after them until they were bought and shipped out. It was hard work, especially to start with because of our wounds from the gang rape. I wanted to curl up in a ball and sleep. But we had to start working immediately. My girlfriend and I looked after 15 children. All were injured, and we were supposed to make them presentable for sale. I found out from the guards that the children were sold online through large stores that pretended they were selling expensive children's clothing. We would hear the guards talk amongst themselves. One of the stores was in the UK. I heard him say the kids only last several days or months, which is why there's such a heavy demand. Some children from other huts were walking around in chains. Still, they had to work and walk in the chains. I didn't know how they could do it. It looked so hard to walk and carry things or dig. We had to dig holes for our toilets. Most of the guards were psychopaths with no souls and were very violent. If you looked at them on a bad day, you would regret it. The person in charge was a very violent lady. If you did not obey an order from her or it just took too long, she would shoot you in the head. The shooting of the children didn't happen often, but kids in the camp would get depressed. The whole base would grieve silently. Sometimes, I don't know if it was because I was sad for the victim or because it wasn't me. In the first few months of camp, my girlfriend and I found we were pregnant. It must have been from the gang rapes. We had to look after ourselves and 15 or so other children and then give birth in the hut without doctors or nurses, just us. I had 6 children altogether. At least while we were pregnant, the guards had to leave us alone. But sometimes during the night, we hear the younger children scream because the guards are having sex with them. Monsters. I used to daydream of grabbing their gun and shooting them all. I wanted to hurt them so severely my anger was hardly containable. Whenever I gave birth, I was at least allowed to keep the child for at least 6 weeks before they were taken and sold. At least they knew what deep, unconditional love was whilst in my care. My girlfriend had a troublesome pregnancy. She had been sick and in pain for 9 months. The night she gave birth, she drowned the child straight after giving birth. I was with her. We always helped each other before, during and after the birth. I had taken her clothes to wash them and found something to wrap her baby in. I turned around and saw her drown her baby. I was going to stop her, but I could understand for not wanting to bring another child into this life, to be sold and feel pain and fear at such a young age. We wrapped the baby's body and kept it to show the guards and hopefully to have her buried. The baby was snatched from my friend's arms and thrown into the fire that we cooked on. I grabbed her and put my hand over her mouth. If she screamed, she would be beaten. I tried to drag her out back to our hut, but she got free and ran to the river. I left her alone. I was exhausted, no sleep, and I had a full day's work ahead of me. A few hours later, a guard's footsteps approached my hut. he informed me that my beautiful friend had taken a knife and slit her wrist by the river. I ran down crying. I was hysterical. I saw her lying half in the water. Her face looked far from peaceful. My God, what am I going to do without her? I was depressed for months, mourning and just barely hanging on. Then I was told I was sold to a man in New York, driven to a private airstrip, and put on a plane to New York. Far from being the happy ending I was hoping for, my new master was a sadistic, and he and his friends loved to torture and rape me. I didn't know how old I was. I think I was around 24 years old. I'd had 6 children, and like my friend, I didn't want to birth any more into this violent life. So when my new master said he was going away for a couple of days on business and I should heal and rest up, I took my own life. I hung myself with a bit of bedding that I had. As I was passing into the next realm, I felt a familiar presence with me. It was Archangel Raphael. I knew he was always with me. God, I'm sorry. Helping me to stay calm, cope with the pain, and help with the younger ones. I sometimes heard his voice in my head giving me advice on how to help the little ones and their health conditions. He took care of me in heaven. I was placed in a particular heavenly hospital and was in a coma for 6 months to help heal the trauma my soul had suffered. When I woke, Raphael explained what was happening and where I was. The best thing was when I woke up, I saw my friend was here in the same area. I ran to her, but to my shock, she was still so significantly traumatized that her wrists still had bandages on. She just sat on the floor and rocked back and forth. I looked at Raphael. I didn't need to ask him. Telepathically, he told me soul trauma is so deep that it could take a while for the healing to be completed. I also recognized some little ones that I helped to look after in the compound, and we all had some lovely reunions. Even their soul trauma would be here for a while. Raphael told me sometimes these souls would reincarnate straight away to heal the trauma. It would be a plan that they found a great love, and this love would help them to heal in the 3D reality. I might like to do that. A loveless existence traumatized me severely. Could a great love heal the trauma? My soul mission. I found out that these human babies had a loveless and torturous life despite being short. I wanted to be the loving caretaker, even for such a short time, before they were taking off to an existence that is unimaginable to some. I wanted to shower them with love and give them a brief memory so that they have love as their compass for their trip home when their time is up. God bless all those still going through these times. And don't forget the love compass for your trip home. I didn't know I was going to cry. I thought I had done all my crying with it when I was reading back through them after the channeling session. But, and that's it. So I have 12 chapters in all, and I have some beautiful friends that have helped me. Mark Atwood has donated a poem of his for the introduction, so I'd like to thank him. I'd love to thank my editor and the lady who drew the cover for my book, and it's called Stop It. So my friend that's editing these is Morgane Faust, and the lady who drew the cover was Violetta Stamu. And I'd like to thank them all, including Mark. Thank you so much for donating your time and effort towards this book. And let's hope now that I can actually get it out there and get some copies sold, and just the word out there to what's going on, but also not to treat them as a victim. Treat them as it was something that they had planned to do to help get the word out and to stop it from happening to others. Now, it's time in this golden age that we put a stop to it. So you can contact me at hello@divalee.co, or you can look up my YouTube, divalee.co, or I have a website called divalee.co. So thank you so very much for listening to me, and I just hope that I can soon make contact with you and touch base, and we can book an interview so that I can get my book out there. But thank you anyway so much, everyone, for listening to me, and I'll say goodbye for now. Thank you.